Welcome to the Dark Truth Archive, where history's most chilling stories come to life. Today, we uncover a tale of betrayal, power, and revenge. A tale that shocked the kingdom and forever changed the fate of one of the king's most trusted men. The king's favorite, betrayed, castrated, and hanged by none other than the queen herself. In the golden halls of the royal palace, where power and politics danced hand in hand, there existed a man who had the king's ear like no other. His name was whispered with respect and envy, for he was the closest confidant to the throne. But his life would take a brutal and unforgettable turn. The king, a ruler with immense power, had everything he desired: wealth, land, and a beautiful queen by his side. Yet it was the presence of this one man, his favorite, that kept the king's empire strong and his decisions sharp. This man was more than just an advisor. He was a trusted companion, a friend in the royal court, someone whose loyalty was unquestionable. But behind the grandeur of the palace, there were whispers. Whispers that the queen, once the woman who stood by the king's side, grew envious of the bond the two shared. It wasn't long before the queen's heart turned cold with jealousy. She saw her husband's affection for this man as a threat, a challenge to her own power in the court. The queen, beautiful yet ruthless, was not one to stand idly by. Slowly she began to weave her web of influence. At first it was subtle, an offhand comment here, a quiet gesture there. But soon, the queen's jealousy blossomed into something far darker. She began planting seeds of doubt in the king's mind, poisoning his thoughts with the idea that his favorite was overstepping his bounds. The king, torn between the woman he loved and the man he trusted, was caught in a dangerous web of manipulation. And when the queen spoke, her words carried weight. She was the one who bore his children, the one who was supposed to stand by him in times of war and peace. But now she was his greatest adversary, working from the shadows to rid herself of the man who held too much of her husband's favor. The queen's plot came to fruition one fateful evening. Under the guise of a simple royal gathering, the queen invited the king's favorite to her private chambers. The king, unaware of the queen's true intentions, allowed his most trusted man to go. What happened next is a part of history that still chills the bones. The queen, fueled by jealousy and vengeance, had him restrained. Her guards, loyal to her alone, held him down. The king's favorite, once the most powerful man in the kingdom, was now at the mercy of the queen's fury. She ordered his castration, an act so brutal that even the bravest men would flinch at the thought of it. His screams echoed through the cold stone walls of the palace. But the queen wasn't done. Once the deed was done, she gave her final order. He was to be hanged. The once celebrated royal favorite was now a lifeless body swinging from the gallows. His fate was sealed, and with it, so too was the queen's control over the kingdom. The king, upon hearing the news, rushed to the scene, but it was too late. His most trusted man was gone. The bond they once shared now shattered forever. The king's heart broke, but the queen's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. She had won. The king was devastated. He could not understand how his favorite, the man who had served him faithfully, had been betrayed in such a brutal fashion. But what hurt the most was the realization that his own wife had orchestrated this horrific event. He had lost his closest confidant, and he had lost his trust in the one person he thought he could always rely on, his queen. In the aftermath, the kingdom was never the same. The once strong bond between the king and queen was forever broken. And though history may have forgotten the exact names of those involved, the dark legacy of betrayal, power, and revenge remains etched in the annals of time. This was not just the story of one man's tragic fate. It is a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power, of jealousy that knows no bounds, and of the fragile nature of loyalty in a world where betrayal is often just one step away. The king's favorite had been loved, trusted, and ultimately betrayed by the woman who was supposed to stand by him. His death, a tragic end to a life full of promise, is a chilling reminder of how even the most powerful men can fall when love, loyalty, and trust are twisted by the darkness of human nature. And so, we leave this dark chapter in history. But remember, this is only one of many. The archives are full of stories just like this, hidden truths, forgotten betrayals, and lives torn apart by ambition. Stay tuned for more chilling stories from the Dark Truth Archive.